where rest is viewed as weakness and obsession is praised as discipline. But here's the truth. When your workouts become a coping mechanism or punishment and your results come at the cost of your health, it's no longer about fitness. What's up, y'all, and welcome back to the Unfiltered Trainer podcast. I'm your host, Gina, aka Gina Marie Fit, the author of The Badass Blueprint, founder of Sweating Together for a Cause, and I have been a personal trainer for well over 12 years now. And today we're diving into a topic that hits hard and hits home because it's often glamorized in the health and fitness space, but rarely called out for what it truly is: fitness addiction. You can be doing all of the right things, training daily, tracking every macro, and still be sabotaging your own progress. This episode isn't about quitting, it's about redefining consistency in a way that actually works for your body, mind, and soul. So let's start by breaking down what fitness addiction actually looks like, because sometimes what we think is dedication is really just a disguised form of self-destruction. Fitness addiction is when your need to exercise overrides your ability to rest, recover, or listen to your body. It truly is an obsession that's masked as motivation. It's skipping social events, pushing through illness or injury, and tying your worth whether or not you've earned your food or your rest. And the scary part of all of this is it's often celebrated. People will cheer you on for grinding every day without realizing that you're mentally and physically exhausted. I know this firsthand because when I started posting on Instagram literally 12 years ago, I was in the process of losing the 30 pounds I had gained from being extremely depressed. And what started off as a true guide and progress journey towards being healthier and working through therapy to be happier became an addiction. And as I started sharing my journey about this goal to lose 30 pounds, I gained a following. And through that following came a lot of feedback, positive and negative, and a lot of celebration when I reached my goal and then exceeded my goal. And what I mean by exceeding my goal is that I became borderline self-destructive with wellness because I became obsessed with getting results and I became obsessed with overdoing it in order to expedite those results. And so I was doing anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours of cardio a day. I was lifting weights. I was going to classes. I would spend 2 to 3 hours a day in the gym, and this was every day. Looking back, I don't know how I ever had the time. Truly do not understand how I ever made that much time to go to the gym, because I still had 2 jobs when I was doing this. But I became relentless in the pursuit of being the smallest version of myself. And as I continued to pursue this very unhealthy goal, my engagement on my posts went through the roof. These are the days of getting thousands of likes on posts, and the more ripped I was, and when I got a 6-pack, and how lean I became, and I would share those comparison photos as I was sharing what I thought was a transformation for health, gained the following that established my Gina Marie Fit brand 10 years ago now. And it's scary to think that when I see those photos and those videos resurface, I still didn't think I was thin enough. I still didn't think I was fit enough. And now I look back on those photos and it makes me genuinely sad to see this smaller version of myself, because I was obsessed with the way I looked. I was obsessed with the size that I was wearing and the number on the scale. And that number literally dictated the entire course of my life. So if that number was up, I was skipping going somewhere with friends because I was going back to the gym. If my clothes fit a certain way, then I was eating less so that I could do more, and I was limiting my caloric intake. The measures at which I completed, now looking back, are so self-destructive and scary that you don't realize in the moment this obsessive need to over-exercise can be the result of health issues. And it truly isn't about how much we're sweating. It should be about how well we recover, how we fuel our bodies, and how we treat ourselves, mind, body, and soul. Now that we kind of have a foundation for what this addiction is, it's time to talk about what's driving it and the belief that faster is better, when in reality, spoiler alert, you can't get results faster. There's this concept, and I call it a myth of faster results, because somewhere along the way, we started equating more with better. More workouts, more restriction, more sacrifice. But here's the truth. Overtraining doesn't speed up your results. It actually slows them down, and often it can halt them completely. The body responds to chronic stress, physical or emotional, by holding on to fat, increasing inflammation, and tanking your hormonal system. What you see on social media is often a highlight reel of short-term results built on unsustainable habits, when the real flex is longevity, because consistency is king, and consistency equates health, and that's health that lasts. So when you think about it, and maybe you need to ask yourself this, what happens when we constantly chase fast progress with more intensity, more cardio, more restriction? Our bodies start sending us signals, and most of us are too deep in the grind to even listen to our own intuition. That intuition is your body's cry for help. If you're constantly sore, exhausted, moody, or injured, it's not because you're doing it right. It's because your body is begging you for rest. For women, this can even show up as missing your menstrual cycle, something that should never be ignored, because that is a sign of being too lean. It's also a sign of stress and energy deficiency. Fatigue, trouble sleeping, anxiety around food or rest days, these are not normal side effects of following a health and fitness plan. They're actually very bold red flags, and they're the body's way of asking you to slow down and listen. The good news is that your body doesn't want to fight you. It actually wants to work with you. And the first step to ditching this all or nothing mindset and building a workout plan is building one that honors consistency, not chaos. So let's talk about how to create a realistic workout plan. Because you don't need to be working out 7 days a week in the gym to see change. You need structure, intention, and rest. A solid plan can look like 3 to 5 training days. That includes strength training, mobility, some form of cardio, and making sure that it's equally important as your rest and your recovery. It's always alarming to me as an instructor and personal trainer how many people walk out of the stretch. No matter how many times you properly educate them, no matter, even though it's a part of the training program, people just walk out of the stretch and don't realize just how important it is to bring your central nervous system back down, get your heart rate out of that fight or flight sensation, and really prioritize what that means for your body. You, and myself included, may not be the type to think about your central nervous system, stress, cortisol levels, but as somebody that's been chronically sick and having episodes that have been getting worse, all of it goes together. And so I truly love building in deload weeks for clients every 6 to 8 weeks, because it gives the body time to recalibrate, repair, and come back stronger. Because movement is just one piece of the wellness puzzle. The other major part of this equation is how you fuel your body, because the right workout plan means nothing if you're under eating or undernourishing your body. So whether you're a balanced macro person, somebody that tracks their macros, or somebody that eats intuitively, your intake is what yields your long-term results. So many people I coach, and it scares me, are severely under eating. They don't even realize they're doing it because they just don't have time to eat. A lot of times people are missing out on carbs. The women are missing out on fat, and they're not even hitting their minor requirements for organ system functioning. As women, that is so critical and so scary. And then most people trying to build muscle are over exercising, and as a result aren't hitting their base macros for protein to even build and sustain the muscle that they have. So when people skip carbs, skip fat, or undereat, I know people generally think that's going to help them lean out faster, but it's actually what's stalling progress. Without enough fuel, your body shifts into survival mode. You lose strength, you lose energy, you lose results. And protein, which is your literally essential requirement for muscle repair, people forget though that carbs are what fuels your energy systems for your workouts and it fuels your brain. And fat, which is literally a requirement, supports your hormones and your recovery. You need all of your main macros while also getting your micronutrients in. Instead of extremely tracking things, weighing all your food, cutting out your favorite foods, focus on fueling yourself for performance. And please trust me when I say that when you do this, that ideal physique you're looking like will follow. So, in order to do all of this, it's not just going to come from a workout plan. It's not just going to come from a macro plan. There's a level of inner work that needs to happen. And this is the part I think that most people, myself included, used to skip. Because if you really want real lasting results, it's not just about your plan or what's on your plate. It's really about your perspective. And I think this is going to be one of the hardest parts of this podcast to stomach for a lot of people, no pun intended, because breaking the cycle and reframing your mindset is critical for long-term health. I want you to ask yourself, are you working out because you love your body, or are you working out to punish your body because you're trying to attain a certain physique in an unrealistic time frame? Ask yourself, am I trying to prove something to someone or to a group of people, or are you trying to build something for yourself? You're allowed to pause. You're allowed to rest. You're also allowed to change your mind for what you're trying to achieve, and you don't need to earn your rest or earn your food or honestly compromise your confidence just to keep up with what you're seeing in your environment. Something that I think is where a lot of people kind of have a misstep in their progress is that they don't schedule their rest with the same intention as their workouts. And so when you actually schedule your rest with the same intention as your workout routine, you take the pressure off of it and you shift from chasing punishment to practicing partnership with your body, mind, and soul. So whether you've been stuck in this cycle for years or just now realizing your grind might be hurting more than helping you, please know this, that change starts with awareness, and you've already taken the first step because you're acknowledging the fact that what you're doing isn't healthy, it isn't working, and something needs to change. In order to make this happen, you have to realize that healing your relationship with fitness and your body takes intention, not intensity. It's not just about doing less, it's about doing things differently. One thing you can do that is simple and actionable is to start small. Take the time to audit your why. I always tell people to have an intention for their class. So before each workout, start asking yourself, is this coming from a place of love or fear? If it's fear, maybe it's the fear of gaining weight, missing progress, feeling behind, it's time to pause and realign. Something that can be helpful is to practice body neutrality. You don't have to love your body every day. You don't have to love every part of your body. We all have parts of our body that we are learning to love and appreciate, but you can respect it enough to take care of it. So in order to do this, restructure your plan. Swap out one or two, depending on if you're one of these people that's working out 7 days a week, those high intensity sessions, and do some low steady state cardio. Go for a walk, take a yoga class. And I don't mean an intense yoga class. I mean like a nice slow flow or restorative class. Or hell, take an actual rest day where you don't do anything. And then I want you to create your wellness schedule around that rest day and stick to this like they're non-negotiable appointments like work or a doctor's appointment. And then once you have that foundation down, I want you to consistently fuel your body for success. I don't want you to just track macros to hit your numbers because a lot of people don't need to track their macros, or people like myself that had to overcome this, macro tracking isn't always healthy for everybody. So some people like myself eat intuitively. One thing you just need to think about in case you don't want to track is just think about how you feel. How are your energy levels? What's your sleep like? Is your mood unstable? Because that's something that I used to deal with when I was under eating. And how is your recovery? That's the real data. It's not just about macros and carbs and fats. It's also how you feel, how your stress is, and a general consensus of where you're at and where you want to go. Something that's really helpful, instead of always celebrating a number on a scale or a certain size you're wearing, is to think about honestly getting results in a different manner. Instead of obsessing over weight loss or visible abs, start celebrating non-scale wins like better sleep, more patience, a healthy relationship with food, or the fact you're finally not sore 24/7. Instead of half-assing your workouts, you can actually be intentional and give your all because you're not depleting yourself because you're doing 2 workouts a day or you're working out 7 days a week. But we all have to give ourselves a little grace here, because if I've learned anything as being somebody that went from over-exercising to being overweight to then being healthy, this process isn't linear and it's not funny. I just genuinely laugh when I think about the things and the ridiculousness I started to do before I had the knowledge I have now. It is a very layered circumstance and situation. And I feel like a lot of people fall into this category because every intentional act of kindness that we provide towards our own body enables us to rewrite the old narratives where we felt unworthy or we weren't good enough because of the way we looked or the size we were. It's really helpful if we look back on the journey itself and the positives and the negatives and truly tap into grace and giving ourselves permission to fail forward instead of being so focused on perfectionism. One thing that we need to get clear before we end this episode is healthy isn't about how you look, it's how you live your life. And real health doesn't demand obsession, it demands balance. We've been conditioned to believe that extremes are admirable. No days off, 2-a-days, multiple gym memberships, no excuses, no pain, no gain, working out when we're tired, when we're hungry, when we're injured. But what if we flip the script and change the narrative on all of this? No guilt, no punishment, no shame. To truly shift our mindset, you have to change the narrative and story you're telling yourself. You're not behind, you're rebuilding. You're not weak, you're just smart enough to rest. You're not failing, you're finding a new way that finally feels like freedom. Health isn't about being the leanest or the strongest in the room. It's about waking up energized, fueling your body with intention, moving with joy, and resting without guilt. When healthy starts to feel peaceful instead of punishing, that's when you know you're doing it right. Now, full disclosure, this is hard. I have been a trainer for 12 years now, and I still have moments, and I think it's because of my environment, that I have these little like light bulb moments, and not good light bulb moments, but these little kind of feels like an angel and devil on your shoulders where I think about when I'm really uncomfortable, especially with all of the weight gain I've had in the last couple months, dealing with this drug trial I recently was on for my progressive GI condition. My body just looks and feels so different and foreign right now. And as I stare at my walking pad that I have just because I need to walk for my condition, I have literally thought in moments where, well, if I woke up at 3 a.m. because I wake up at 3:30 for work, I could get extra cardio in. Or if I didn't go to bed at 10 o'clock, which is like my cutoff time because I have to be at work at 4:30, I could get a second workout in. Because even though I know better and I know what I've done to my body and the harm that I've caused in my 20s, and I know better in my 30s, there's still these moments, and this is the universe. I full-heartedly believe that the universe tests you and it puts you in similar situations to see if you learn the lesson. And every single time I think like that, I have to have like a come to Jesus moment with myself where I'm like, oh my God, Gina, rein it in. That it's not what's going to help you. It's going to hurt you further. And it's just that reminder that your fitness should fuel your life, not control it. We are not weak for resting. We are smart for listening to our bodies and prioritizing our recovery as much as we do our movement. And because of that, we are not failing because we're slowing down. We're just making time and space to grow in all necessary areas and aspects of our lives. So, if you've been caught in the chaos, grinding, shrinking, punishing, performing, just to feel quote unquote enough, I want you to hear me when I say this. You were never meant to earn your worth through workouts. You were never meant to burn out just to belong. You were never meant to shrink yourself to feel seen. You were made for more than that. More peace, more joy, more life. This journey isn't about quitting. It's about coming home to your body, mind, and soul, choosing wellness over war, healing over hustle, and learning that rest is not the opposite of progress. It's actually a part of it. So today, take one small step, say no to the shame, say yes to yourself, and remember the strongest thing you'll ever do is slow down when the world tells you to speed up. Until next time, keep lifting your body, your mind, and your standards. And remember, you are not behind. You are right on time. I'll see you in the next episode.